We're broadcasting live.
Good morning, everyone. This is the council meeting for the town of Mono, held on Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. This meeting is being conducted both in chambers and by means of electronic participation as permitted by Section 238, subsection 3.1 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended and the Town of Mono's Procedural Bylaw 2020-42. Residents can either join us in person or view the meeting remotely as it occurs or later on our website. We do have a quorum. Councillors Capes and Deputy Mayor Nix are joining us remotely today. Just a reminder to everybody that emergency exits are in the rear of the council chamber. Members can declare pecuniary interest at this point or at any point in the course of the meeting. We'll begin with the Indigenous land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mayor. We would like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that the town of Mono resides within the traditional territories and the ancestral lands of the Tionatonte, the Attawandaran, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe peoples. We also acknowledge that the town of Mono resides within the treaty lands named under Treaty 18, the Nottawasaga Purchase of 1818. These traditional territories upon which we live and learn are steeped in rich Indigenous history and traditions, and it is with this statement that we declare to honor and respect the past and present connections of Indigenous peoples with this land, its waterways, and resources.
Thank you. I have a motion that Council approves the agenda of Session 7-2026 as circulated. Do I have a mover? Councillor Davey moves, seconded by Councillor Capes. Any objections to passage of this motion? Seeing none, the motion is carried. I have a further motion that Council approves the minutes of Session 6-2026 as circulated. Moved by Councillor Capes, seconded by Councillor Davey. Any opposition to that? Seeing none, that motion passes. We have a couple of proclamations. The first one is National Volunteer Week, whereas National Volunteer Week from April 19th to 25th, 2026 celebrates the generosity and dedication of volunteers who contribute their time, skills, and energy to support and strengthen our community. And whereas the UN General Assembly has proclaimed 2026 as the International Year of Volunteers for Sustainable Development, and whereas volunteers in Mono share their time, skills, empathy, and creativity with each and every contribution they make at a moment when we need support more than ever before, and whereas volunteers are vital to making a collective impact on the strength, inclusivity, and quality of life and well-being of our community, and whereas organizations in Mono that rely on volunteers are the fundamental backbone of what it helps to make a community thrive. On behalf of Council, I declare April 19th to 25th, 2026 as National Volunteer Week in the town of Mono and urge our fellow citizens to recognize the critical role played by volunteers in our community. The second proclamation is Sikh Heritage Month, whereas the Sikh Heritage Month Act 2013 proclaimed the month of April each year as Sikh Heritage Month in Ontario, and whereas the month of April was chosen as it is an important month to the Sikh community, and whereas proclaiming Sikh Heritage Month, the province of Ontario recognizes the important contributions that Sikh Canadians have made to Ontario's social, economic, political, and cultural fabric, and whereas Sikh Heritage Month is an opportunity to remember, celebrate, and educate further generations about Sikh Canadians and the important role they have played and continue to play in Mono and in communities across Ontario. On behalf of Council, I proclaim April 2026 as Sikh Heritage Month in the town of Mono and invite residents to join Council on Wednesday, that's tomorrow, April 15th at 10:45 to raise the Sikh flag at Town Hall. That brings us to public question period. Do we have any submitted questions?
There was no questions submitted online, Your Worship.
Is there anyone in the audience who has a question for us? Is there anyone online who has a question for us? Not seeing any. We carry on with our delegation, the Whitetail Refuge Restoration Project. Come on forward. We all know who you are, but for the record, give us your name.
Thank you. My name is Laura Wensink, and I'm a river restoration technician at Nottawasaga Valley Conservation.
Thank
Good
you.
morning, and I'm Don Little. I'm the manager of stewardship and restoration, also with Nottawasaga Valley Conservation.
Thank you. Over to you.
I'm Karen Morrison. I live in Mono, and I chair Headwater Streams Committee, and we collaborate very well, have a great relationship with NVCA and Bruce Trail on this project. Thank you.
Sorry, Your Worship, for the record, if we could acknowledge Karen Morrison. Sorry, it doesn't record if your mic's not on.
So Karen, if you could just repeat your name again.
Okay, Karen Morrison. I live in Mono. I chair the Headwater Streams Committee, who work in collaboration with NVCA and the Bruce Trail on this particular project. And this will be shared by NVCA Stewardship and Manager Don Little and Laura Wensink. Thank you.
Thank you. And who would like to make the presentation? Are you taking us through it? Will it be Laura or Don?
Laura,
Yeah,
sorry, Laura. Laura and Don will be taking you through it.
Okay. Go ahead.
thank you. Could you go to the next slide of the presentation, please? Thanks. So Mono Creek is a tributary of the Nottawasaga River. So the water flows between second and fourth line through Mono Center and into the Nottawasaga River. This is a cold water creek. There's a lot of groundwater in this area, and that makes this wonderful cold water habitat. So thanks to amazing support from the volunteers at Headwater Streams Committee, as well as the Bruce Trail Conservancy and the Takla Foundation, we've been studying a section of this creek for the past several years. And what we found was this site is home to brook trout and mottled sculpin. These are both cold water species that really need cold, clean water in order to survive. In some of the neighboring watersheds, brook trout populations are beginning to decline and even disappear from some creeks. We don't want this to happen in Mono Township. This is from pressures from development and land use, as well as some of the challenges with climate change. Now is the ideal time to act in order to take actions that will make the system more climate resilient. Can you go to the next slide, please? There are two ponds here on this site, which is owned by the Bruce Trail Conservancy. So Upper Pond has very little water exiting it, so we're not as concerned about some of the thermal implications of that pond. However, that main pond, the one, that darker looking pond on the top, is a man-made berm has created that pond, and it basically prevents that fast-flowing cold creek. It slows it down, and we're seeing this water warm at a rapid rate. So water coming in is anywhere between 17 and 20 degrees Celsius, but water leaving the pond is warming up by about 4.5 degrees Celsius over just 120 meters. This is at the threshold of what cold water fish like brook trout need to survive. This pond is also, anytime that ponds cause a berm and dam some of that fast flowing water, this also creates a situation where it fills up with sediment. All online ponds eventually do this. And as this aging dam infrastructure it's decades old, and there's always a concern that if we had a very large storm, maybe a 50 or 100-year storm, this aging infrastructure could release a lot of that sediment downstream onto some of the spawning grounds for brook trout. However, we can mitigate this with a habitat restoration project. The main pond there is home to many different frog species and turtle species and bird species. So the project that we're proposing here will keep some of the good parts about that pond, some of the habitat and the wetland features. Wetlands provide ecosystem services such as flood mitigation. So we would propose to allow waters into that pond area during some of those peak flood events to help mitigate floods. However, we would reroute the north and south channel around the pond in order to keep water cool and clean. Through these actions, we hope to reduce the water temperature by about 3.5 degrees Celsius, and we'll be planting the banks of those creeks with native trees and shrubs in order to further reduce the temperature over time. And this is how we make Mono Creek more resilient to climate change. Next slide, please.
Great, thanks, Laura. So what we're proposing to do is, Laura was mentioning there, is we're proposing to reroute the two streams that feed into this pond around the north end of it. So we've been working with an engineer to design the channels and other aspects of the project, like the spillway that you can see in the top of the screen there. And once these streams are rerouted, like Laura was saying, the pond, it will become essentially a wetland. And during flood events, rain and flood water will still be able to flow into that wetland and then safely flow out of it through that spillway. And then following construction, volunteers from Headwater Streams Committee and the Bruce Trail Conservancy will be invited out to join us for this restoration project by planting wetland plants and trees around the site. And we also welcome the town of Mono, as well to come and join us for a project tour, and then also any of these planting events. Like Laura was mentioning as well, the project goals are to reduce the downstream or the thermal impacts of the pond by 3.5 degrees, to conserve and improve the wetland habitat and the ecosystem services that it provides, such as flood mitigation, mitigate any impacts that could occur as a result of that existing dam failing by releasing excessive sediment downstream of the pond, and having a negative effect on brook trout spawning grounds. And then also improve habitat through engaging volunteers to plant trees and wetland plants and maintain trails. Slide. So this project, it's pending funding. So the total project budget, we estimated around $205,000. We've applied for roughly half of that, so $92,000 from the Ontario Community Environment Fund, and we're still waiting to hear back as to the results of that application. But while we wait, we've been applying for all the necessary permits and scoping out the initial work. And speaking of which, we will be contacting the township staff regarding the fill bylaw. Reading through that bylaw, it seems that there is language in there which exempts conservation authorities like NVCA from that fill permit, but we will reach out to confirm that. And just wanted to end by just saying that projects such as this one, they're largely, or a large part of their success comes from building really, really strong partnerships. So that said, if the town of Mono would be interested in providing support for this project, it would be hugely appreciative of us, and it would be really, really go a long way in helping us meet those fundraising goals. So we're recommending around in the ballpark of around $3,000 or so, if that is something that you'd be interested in providing support for. Slide.
Thank you.
So
Go ahead.
sorry.
Sorry.
Yep. I was just going to close it off, so yeah, that's all good. I was just going to say, if there's any questions or anything like that, you can reach out to Laura and I, or you can visit our website.
Do members of council have any questions at this time? Ralph?
Thanks for your presentation. Sounds like a very valuable thing to do. What is the process of creating these bypasses? Is that done with machinery?
That's correct. Yeah, Laura, you're probably in a better situation to answer that. Yeah, if you want to take that one.
Sure. Thanks, Don. We do work with a heavy machinery contractor. We've been working with them for the last 12 years, so we have a very good relationship with them. But we believe we'll be bringing in a 23-ton excavator and a skid steer in order to move some of the fill and create those bypass channels. Dawn, myself, and some of our other project partners will be on site for the full duration of this, and will complete any necessary fish rescues, and any other environmental, we'll follow our erosion and sediment control plans and such, as we would with any of our restoration projects.
Yeah, and just to add to that as well, we try to do as much of the work as we possibly can in the dry, as we call it. So, creating the channel first and without any water flowing through it, and that's the least disruptive way to do that for the fish community.
Okay, that's fine.
Elaine?
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for your presentation, and thank you for this good work. Do you have, obviously you have the Headwater Streams Committee helping you with this, but is there opportunity for more volunteers? Like, is there opportunity for community to join in? I know we have a newly formed climate committee, and there are other people in this community who are very concerned with climate, and kids that would be really interested to know how this works. You might create some future employees by having some students on hand to witness and participate however they can, rescuing fish. This is it's very cool.
Yeah, no,
Thank you kindly.
Yeah, thank you for that question. And absolutely, yes, there will be opportunities. Once we get kind of further into the planning and we're able to identify volunteer tree planting dates and things like that, then we will advertise those for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we'd also like to do project tours for this, so we can really be doing that outreach. Outreach and volunteer engagement is so important to the success of any restoration project. So yeah, and we love when volunteers from the local community come out. We'll be posting those on our website, as well as distributing them through posters through the Headwater Streams Committee. Last year, I think we had 45 volunteers planting trees with us on that same project site from the local community.
And please connect with Volunteer Dufferin.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Fred?
Yeah, thanks, Dawn and Laura, for the presentation. I'm a little concerned. You've applied for grants of $92,000, but it's going to cost about $205,000, and you're suggesting you can go ahead this summer and do it. Where's the rest of the money going to come from?
Yeah, thanks, Fred. And yeah, it will be. The original or the 92 that we're applying for will just fund, I think, portions of the project. So depending on how fundraising goes for this project, it will just be, we may have to just go ahead with it just in a phased approach, right? And break it into phases and things like that based on, what we can do and with our available funding.
I should
Anything
also
to add to that, Laura? Or?
We also have two other funds that we've already applied for and been successful with for this project. So we already do have some of the money in-house thanks to H. John McDonald Fund and TACLA Foundation. And then we have two other grant applications that we're currently working on in order to meet that fundraising goal. We have to do so much fundraising to make projects like this happen, which is why we'd love if Town of Mono has any funds that they'd be willing to contribute to this, we would really appreciate them.
Well, I think I'll bow to Karen's advice on this, but the Headwater Streams Committee does have a little bit of money, which I think if it could be approved for this project. I have another possibility for funding, but anyway, none of that for now. What I was going to tell council is whether or not it goes ahead this summer, the exact location of where they're going to build this new channel happens to be where the main trail of the Bruce Trail is located right now. So there are plans for this summer, whether or not this project goes ahead, but we will be moving the Bruce Trail a bit further to the north up the hill sometime this summer. Anyway, thanks again, Don and Laura.
Melinda?
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thanks, everybody, for this presentation. It's very, very interesting. I've been come out with the Streams Committee a couple of times and really I learned a lot. So I'm not understanding, why is this pond here in the first place? Was it dammed, or is it that, like, how did it come about? It looks messy compared to the other one that looks so neat. Or is it really just a wetland that we're wanting to put back to a wetland and make the stream go around? Or how did the pond come about?
We are not entirely sure of when exactly the former landowners put that berm on there, but it's very evident from the structures that are present that this is a man-made system. There are thousands of dams in our watershed, unfortunately, but removing these are one of the ways that we can make the streams and make our whole watershed a little bit more climate resilient. But this is definitely a man-made dam.
So then when you put with your drawing of putting the new channel around and the tree planting, I mean, that's all the green part, right? That you're hoping that the vegetation will hold this unless you get a 50-year or 100-year rain, as you say. Will it get into, like, I can't tell the topography here, right? Will it be able to get into the new channel that you make, or how will you stop that from happening?
It's a little hard to see on the engineer design drawings that Don showed at the very end, but there are going to be spillways, and it is going to be built at an elevation where during most of the year, the water will be able to go around, but they will be built with spillways both in and out to allow for some of that flood water to come into that wetland.
All right.
And then also too, with the tree planting and things like that occur around the, in the riparian buffer and things like that for the project, that also allows more flood water to infiltrate into the soil as well. So.
Right. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
I can assist with some of the history. The property was originally owned by a gentleman by the name of Carrick Young, who was Bill Young's father. And in my memory, those ponds have always been there. And that goes back to the 1950s. I don't know when they were originally built, but the interesting thing about it is that the pond that is identified as the upper pond is bracingly cold, and it never warms up at all, whereas the lower pond is the one that is the problem. Are you looking at trying to divert any of the water flow from the upper pond, which is considerable given the springs that come up, into the new spillway?
Thank you so much for that history. We've actually measured the flows 2 years ago, the flows coming out of the culvert of the pond. And during summer flows, they're very negligible. We were almost unable to measure them with our equipment because the flows are so low, and they are coming very, very cold out of that pond. You're absolutely right. So no, we are still going to allow that small amount of water to come into the pond and to safely leave the wetland.
Yeah. I was just thinking that if you're looking for a source of really, really cold water, and I can attest to that because I've attempted to swim in that pond many, many years ago, that's a source. That's a potential source. My other question has to do with the flow. Will your plan increase the flow into the stream that ultimately crosses the third line? Because the flow has diminished to that wetland over the years.
I think that the plan is just to maintain the flow around it. Like, I don't think, and Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's any plan to increase or decrease or anything like that, the actual volume going through. But yeah, it'll just be to maintain it and more importantly, just to maintain the thermal, or maintain the temperature of water going around it, so it's not warming up in that pond.
Well, if you get more flow, that would be a nice byproduct of maintaining a good cold flow of water. Any other questions? Well, thank you very much, and keep up the great work on this, both to the CVC and yourself on behalf of the Streams Committee. It's good work, and I'm glad to see this approach being taken as opposed to what was done by the CVC down in Menora Park. I think this is much more creative and ultimately will have a better result. My personal opinion, and I'm not an expert.
Well, thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Anyway, there we go. So we have a representative from the Ram Rodeo to sit with us while we deliberate on the requested noise exemption. And if you could just give us your name and
Excuse me, Your
connection.
Worship.
Sorry.
There could be potential people that would be logging in to view this, and this is scheduled for 10 o'clock on your
fair
agenda
enough.
today.
Okay.
Sorry, the clock.
Ross is going to log in.
Yeah, we're a half
Okay.
hour, so if we wanted to.
No, let's defer it to 10, and then both he can log in and anyone else who wants to speak to the matter can log in as well.
I know
Okay.
those ponds well. I grew up on the third, right behind them.
Right. Okay. Then leaving aside our next delegation, or it's not so much a delegation as it is a noise exemption application, just to item number 3, the heritage permit application. I believe that's been withdrawn from this agenda and will come to us at the next meeting. Is that correct?
Correct, it's not on this agenda.
Okay, I have it on my,
Because that's the old one. We approved the new one.
yeah, I know. But this is the one that was with my package today.
Oops, sorry. Fred tried to take care of as much as he could before.
No problem, no problem. I just thought that others might have it as well. So that takes us to unfinished council business. Does anyone have anything on the unfinished council business list they want to speak to? Councillor Capes?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, if you don't mind. I'd like to speak to item number 1, the special events bylaw. It's been there since 2020, before we were even the council. And I just wonder, is it really critical, or should we just take it off? I know that's a silly question, but I just wonder, why are we still pursuing this if we've done, not been able to pay attention to it for 6 years? Why would we leave it there?
Well, I think it got there by virtue of it being one of the oldest bylaws on the books in Mono. It dates from around 1984, if I'm not mistaken. And it has, there's a certain antiquated aspect to it. It is very rarely applied for. Last time it was applied for, I think it was the pollinator garden that actually applied to do an event underneath it, or under that bylaw. It's very awkward, and at some point it really should be attended to. But there's no huge urgency because it's very rarely requested.
And a follow-up question, if I could. It says that there's a DMOA subcommittee established. And you probably told me this before, but now I can't remember. Who are they?
I'm having
You-
some internet issues here. I'll
You-
turn it over to Mike.
Counselor Capes, that's the Dufferin Municipal Officers Association, so generally,
okay.
generally clerks and treasurers. And CAOs, no. Thanks, Les.
Okay, thank you for that. And so how are they involved in this?
So they meet 4 times a year, Les? Yes. And 4 times a year, they take on items that are of interest to all the municipalities across the Dufferin area and try to come up with general cohesiveness with respect to the bylaws, and also a good think tank to put together a comprehensive bylaw.
Okay, great. And where is it on their agenda?
Sorry, I can't answer that, but I would imagine the subcommittee would be. I'll be attending these in the coming weeks, and I can have an update for council once I find out.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I think it's fair to say that this is a bylaw that if we can get some commonality between different local municipalities, so much the better. Orangeville probably has the most up-to-date events bylaw, but it's also very complicated. Any other questions on the?
Well, thank you, Mayor. Just a comment. I mean, Elaine comments on the unfinished business council without fail every meeting, so good for you. But I kind of think that it's here, but is it really, I mean, it's a place marker for something to keep the clerk's office and everybody, as opposed to really expecting that things are going to move along, I think, after watching this now for a number of years. And to remove something from it does seem like it would be really nice if we had a really short list. It got shorter and shorter and shorter, and as our term was always like, yay, we don't have anything on the list anymore, we've accomplished something. But I don't think that that's what this list serves for, because it seems that each one of our bylaws, as something comes to our attention, that it's, oh yes, this is older and it should be, and so it has to go on the list. So I think it needs to stay on the list, but I wonder whether we need to have the list on every agenda, is kind of a thought.
So this is council's list that council has directed staff to attend to. There is, obviously, staff have their own lists of their own projects that we're working on, and council, the clerk's office would be updating all the bylaws in a perfect world, like you said. But I'm trying to recall back to 2020 as to why this bylaw is here. It's not here because the clerk wants to update an old bylaw. I just can't recall what occurred in 2020. There must have been a special event that caused some concern.
There was.
Yeah, I just don't recall why it's here, but it was obviously in line with something that council wanted us to take a look at.
There was indeed, and it was precipitated by a concern that a business in Mono down the road from here called Smokies was
Right,
going to have a
right.
succession of
Oh, right.
parties, events, that kind of thing, and the bylaw was dusted off to see whether or not it applied, number one, and number two, whether it could be used if necessary. And as it turns out, it was, shall we say, a nothing burger.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Okay. Anything else before we move on? All right. So I see that we're joined by Ross. We're going to call the matter at 10 o'clock in case other people either attend in person or come online. That would be a few minutes from now. Are you okay with that, Ross? You're on mute. Okay. So this will give some time to fix the technical issues as well.
He's trying to get on for you.
Okay.
Yeah, log out, log in.
Could you let him know that we'll get to it at 10 sharp?
Yeah.
That'd be great. Thanks. So that would permit us to go forward to the Cardinal Woods Pumphouse header upgrade tender. And Matt, if you can give us a little bit of background on this?
Yep, thanks, Mayor Croman. So this is an important project that Public Works brought to council as part of the 2026 water budget. And it includes some flow meter upgrades and instrumentation and whatnot, some redundancies and some items that the ministry had brought forward as part of their annual inspection last year and the year before. So happy that the project came in under budget and looking forward to moving forward with it this year.
Ralph?
Thanks, Matt. The description of the contract involves certain meters and analyzers and some piping, and it costs $200,000. Can you elaborate on where the money is going? A little bit. What are the expensive items?
What are the expensive items?
Yeah, seems to me that this is a lot of money, and we should know what's being spent.
Yeah, so right now there's a distribution that comes out of the high lift pumps out of the reservoir to take the water to the consumers, the users, and then there's a bypass flow meter. So we're having to upgrade the flow meter on each one. Those meters are very expensive, $40,000 a piece, in around that ballpark. The chlorine analyzers that analyze the flow of the water and how much chlorine is in the water. There's one that's in there right now that's needs to be replaced just simply from its end of life is near, and then we're adding it back up in case that one fails. So those are around $10,000 a piece. There's a lot of welding. You have to be certified welder for all that piping because it's disinfection and whatnot. There's a bunch of valves that have to be replaced. They're original. The reservoir was constructed originally in 1988. And so some of those valves are expensive. They need to be cut out and things need to be isolated. So the plan is to replace the bypass flow meter and the piping and up the sizing of it so it could act as a true backup for the flows, and the sizing would be similar to the distribution. And then once that's been updated with the new flow meter and the valving, we'll flip back over to the distribution and replace that flow meter. It's very complex. Like we had the engineering estimate was 300,000. That's what I brought to council and council approved, and we came in at 225 inclusive of HST. So I'm happy with the price. And Burnside has worked with this engineer or this contractor, and currently working with them up in Gravenhurst on a couple of projects. So happy to have a contractor that had some good references. So.
Yeah, yes, this is a number of things that they've worked on, doesn't tell us what they've been doing, but I understand then part of the issue here is doing this work while you're keeping the equipment operating.
That adds costs as well.
Yeah.
We're fortunate, like I said, to have the bypass. So we'll be working on that first, upgrading the piping size, updating the valving, the flow meter, and then that flow meter will become calibratable and monitorable with our SCADA system. Currently, that's not possible. And it's one of the things that our MECP inspector had noted. It's no longer calibratable, so that'll be a new meter. It'll be calibrated. It'll be registered and tie into the SCADA system, so it can be monitored that way, not manually. And then once that's all up and running, we'll flip back and take the main distribution, which is what's currently running, offline, and upgrade the piping and the valving and instrumentation there too.
Will there be any disruption of service for the residents?
I hope not. This should be fairly streamlined. Again, the expertise of the contractor, the town engineer, and the operating authority will be working with them hand in hand to make sure there's no disruptions.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? I have two. This presumably comes from the water reserves?
That's correct.
And will there be any improvement in water pressure or any demonstrable improvement after the work is done?
Shouldn't be a difference in the system. I think that these are some of the fail-safes or redundancies. Should the distribution, there be an issue with the flow meter there, we could flip over to the bypass safely without having to delay and whatnot. And because we're monitoring these things in real time with the SCADA system, the computers are keeping track of all the data, and we could easily report that to the ministry. So there's efficiencies as far as staff time goes for operating authority, which is important because ultimately the town's in charge for their time. So I would say that it improves the efficiency of the staff and the quality of water is.
Thank you. I have a motion that council for the town of Mono accepts the bid price of $225,137.05, including HST from Nielsen Tran Mechanical, Inc., for the construction of the distribution header upgrades at the Cardinal Woods Pumphouse. Moved by Councillor Cape, seconded by Councillor Mantalo. Yes, go ahead.
My document, was there another upgrade on the, I see 255, not 225. Am I wrong? Because I've heard you say 25
I have
and you say
225.
25, but I see 55.
HST.
Mine says 225.
Okay.
Resolutions are 225, Matt?
Yeah, the resolution's 225. Just let me look at the engineering.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
225. Oh,
Actually, plus
Sorry.
HST of 29,000.
my
Cardinal
apologies.
Woods, Cardinal Woods evaluation tender bid. I'm looking at the same document. March 27th from Burnside gives the list of the 5 bids,
That's correct.
and it says 55. So
That's correct.
Which is the typo?
It's 255, 137.05.
So the motion is incorrect.
That's correct.
Okay, we're going to have to amend the motion because I read it.
Good catch, Melinda.
Yes,
Just reading.
thank you. So a call for the vote on the motion as amended to reflect the report presented to council.
Of 255.
255, yeah.
So the summary recommendation, so the 225 plus HST for a total of 255, 137 was the recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah. So the 225 was exclusive of HST.
I know, but
Yeah.
But each time it said including.
Included,
So
That's right.
that
It should
was-
say
It should have said
excluding.
exclusive,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which
Thank
is
you.
why, when we have to pay HST anyway, just give me the number.
Okay, call the question. Any opposition? That motion carries. Next item, and we still have a little bit of time before 10 o'clock, Recreation Department vehicle tender. And Matt, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So Parks and Rec took, they're replacing their 2016 Ford F-150. And Kim, the director of Rec, brought to the budget this year for a replacement, which council approved in the amount of 95,000 for an EV pickup truck. Kim and I spoke about collaborating on this to see what this truck had the ability to do. So the hope is that the truck, once approved, will be trialed with Public Works for several months to see if it has the capability of satisfying Public Works operations. And in the meantime, we'll be looking, if council approves the purchase, we'll be working at upgrading the charging points at the shop.
Questions, Ralph? And then Melinda?
Okay, congratulations on coming in under budget. And this, it's a bit of a zoo out there looking at all the possible models of everything. But I think this one, in my opinion, it fits what we need here. It's the extended range battery, which is important, and the WT version, it has a good towing capacity. So I think those are the biggies, and it has a double cab, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Melinda?
Thanks very much. I'm not as enthusiastic about this, but we'll see how it works out. The charging for it, how much is the upgrade? Did I misreading about that? Because that really is the cost. I mean, it's nice to say that you're going to get, we put 95 away and it's going to be 83, but we're going to end up spending that, aren't we, on an upgrade?
So we've met with a couple electrical contractors. We figure per location, we're looking at about 1,000 to 1,500. We're looking to put in 3-point charging points, 50 amp services at the shop, one near the main panel, so that's nominal cost. Another 2 will be over in the West Bay at the shop. So we're looking at about 15 per location, $100.
Okay, so that's less than, so 10 grand by the time you pay taxes, because HST is included.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions before I read the motion? So I have a motion that we approve the issuance, no, I don't. That council for the town of Mono accepts the overall bid price of $83,201.34, inclusive of HST, from Ralshev Cadillac, Inc. to supply and deliver an electric pickup truck to the town of Mono. Do I have a mover for that? Ralph moves, seconded by Elaine. Any further discussion? Any opposition? And that motion carries. So that leaves us to either go into Schedule A or maybe have a brief break and then address the issue of the noise exemption. What's the wish of council? Let's have a short 10-minute break, and then Ross will get to your matter.
Okay, thank you.
We're back live.
Thank you. And returning to our agenda, for 10 o'clock, we have a matter pertaining to the Ram Rodeo and a request for a noise exemption. Come on forward. We also have Ross Miller on the call. Ross, how's your audio now?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Very good.
I'm trying to speak quietly in respect to the bylaw conditions.
Thank you for that.
That was a joke.
Anyways, we have the request in writing, and if you could just give us your name for the record.
Hi, I'm Ellen Dan.
It's Ross Miller.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Ellen, if you could turn your mic on and repeat that. Thank you.
I'm Ellen Downey.
So, who would like to lead off in describing the request and answering any questions that the council may have for you?
That's you, Ross.
Okay. And I did send in a little explanation of it. I'm not sure whether I think you probably have
We
that because
do.
it was in your minutes. But, I mean, just simply in recapping that, for those that don't know, I am a citizen of Mono, and I have been for over 20 years. And I'm very proud that we put on the rodeo now. I think it's our 19th year. It has continued to grow. It has made it through COVID and continued to come back as strong as ever. And I'm very proud that I believe, and I'm looking at it through my eyes, but I proudly believe that we bring something to the community. We bring something to the community that is family driven. We bring something that shows a little bit of the history and the way of Canadian culture, and it falls more into a Canadian cultural event. What I've noticed, as I say, that our crowds have expanded. We used to, when we put it on 19 years ago, we had simply the local community, primarily the farmers would all come to it. And as we've grown and we've molded and changed our show, we've adapted to larger audiences, and I'm proud of if you look at our surveys, over 70% of the people come from more than 20 kilometers away from Mono, which I think is showing that we're bringing people from more than just our community. We're having approximately 7,000 people we had last year come out to it. And it's something that we have changed to meet our demographics. And as times have changed, we have changed. Not just as you know, we've changed a lot of things. We used to have a dance and a cabaret going on in the evening, and we've followed the wishes of the community, and we've stopped that type of stuff. We made it it's a very much family show, and it's a family show that really, we try to wind it down by dinner time and make it really a day event rather than we exclude the evening events from it now. And I hope you'll appreciate that we have tried to change, and we've tried to change in keeping with the wishes of the community. I do 20 other rodeos. This is the only one I do in my community, and I really started it because I had people in the community ask me why I don't do one in my community. Those days it didn't make any financial sense, but I did it because there was an interest in it, and I was proud of doing something within my community. But for that reason, I have no desire to put on anything in my community that's going to tarnish the community at all. And I do go to bed at night feeling that we're bringing something special, we're bringing something different. And as I watch the different towns, and I was thinking about it last night, when I go to so many towns now, the rodeo has become a real reason for people to come to our community, but also for people that have left our community to come back. And we've got a couple towns. I mean, we've done 29 years in the town of Exeter, which is outside of London. And the rodeos has really become a homecoming weekend. And by that, when I moved up to Mono, I was enthusiastic, I still am, but it was a different community, and there was a rural aspect, and I do believe that Mono is kind of the gateway to the agricultural community in Ontario above us. And it was something that I moved there because I wanted my children to grow up in that environment and be a part of it. And I've noticed that people come back now where the kids move away, they go to university, they get married, they have a child, and they do come back for the weekend and they bring their kids and they drop their kids off with their grandparents for the day in Mono, and then they come to the rodeo and the grandparents look after them. And I know the sound, and I don't want to get long-winded about the sound bylaws, but I understand we're all getting older, quite a few of us. We're like in our quiet time. We all have little issues, like with motorcycles going by and so forth, but we still live in a community that I want it to flourish, and I want it so people want to come there. And as a grandparent, I could sit with my wife all day long and have nothing going on, but I look forward to my kids wanting to come home for the weekend because there's actually some entertainment and something for them to do during the weekend, and they bring their grandchildren with them, and we can enjoy ourselves. And I see that in so many towns now where we are becoming a homecoming weekend, and a lot of the younger people are coming back into the town, as I know the demographics in our community is aging quite quickly. So the bottom line, that's my personal opinions of it all. I guess on a business note, we're wanting to do the event on June 6th and 7th. It's at the Orangeville Fairgrounds. We've changed our show this year. We traditionally, for years, started at 4 o'clock. And the reason we started at 4 o'clock was on a Saturday afternoon, at that time of year when farmers are bringing in hay or pot, if as long as the conditions are good, by having a noon hour or 2 o'clock afternoon rodeo kind of ruins their day. But at 4 o'clock, I found that they would go out, they would work in the morning, and then they would come in at noon hour and tell the family they're going to go to the rodeo at 4 o'clock. I'm prepared to go to 2 o'clock. I don't fully believe it's a great move on my part for the extra hour or two, but if it's going to appease a couple people there with the sound, I mean, they're residents, so I respect that. And I'm prepared to move it to 2 o'clock, so we're done by 4:30. And 1 o'clock on Sunday always happens and Sunday at 3:30 when it's over, people can't get out of there fast enough. They're all heading home, everything's getting torn down. So I guess that's about all I've got to say on it. And I'm sure you know, but I do live in a community and I do respect it. And I'm very proud in 19 years, I don't believe we've had any conflicts. We've had no police enforcement problems. We've always paid our bill 100%. Even if I'm not sure I agree with the bill, I pay it because I live in the community. So my point is we do pay our bills and we are local. Does that kind of give you an overview?
It sure does. Does any member of council have any questions for Mr. Miller?
Thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you very much, Mr. Miller, for coming and for giving us context. You know, we have had, you know about the noise bylaw, we have had all sorts of discussion for a number of years, and you have really given us, I think, our residents by coming today, real context and obviously showing your goodwill of changing things. So I haven't been to the rodeo, so this is this might be my year. So what you're saying is that this is the first year that you've done a full afternoon event, and as opposed to a late afternoon, early evening, because you
On the Saturday.
on the Saturday, and the Sunday's always been just an
Always.
afternoon.
Yes, and on the,
Yep.
sorry, the Saturday, we've always ended at around 6 o'clock or 6:30.
Okay. And so I think one of our problems just is the more I think about who is bothered by the noise, because that's what our new bylaw is. It isn't how many decibels or what time particularly. It's whether it's people are bothered. I think that wonderful. You're on kind of a hill, and our wonderful body of water there at the CVC. It all kind of just must. Make noise travel or accentuate when there's a wind or whatever. But I'm completely on board with this event this year. I think this is very, very helpful for our community, for you to have come and given us such insight. So and I think this is one of the reasons why I put my vote in for saying that we need to hear from people who are bringing events to our town. And that's not to say that we're not going to give an exemption, but that this having you come is very helpful, I think, for the community. So thank you.
Thank you. Elaine?
You're welcome.
Oh, sorry, Ross.
Oh, I just said you're welcome.
Thank you. Elaine?
Thank you, and I'm going to repeat something I said at last year's rodeo when Ross let me ride in the back of his pickup truck. The Calgary Stampede is an annual 10-day event in downtown Calgary, and it's known as the greatest outdoor show on earth. It's a celebration of Western culture featuring rodeo, parade, concerts, rides, games, and more. So our family attended the 100th anniversary there, but we've also attended our local rodeo here, thanks to Ross. And I have to say, how fortunate are we that we have a rodeo right here where we live? And I'm very proud as a Mono resident to say that we have the rodeo here. And it brings excitement, not just to Mono, but to other, like over 15 communities. Being the largest rodeo tour in Eastern Canada and featuring cowboys and cowgirls competing in barrel racing, saddle, bronc, bareback, bull riding, pole bending, and more than over $300,000 in prize money and the right to compete at the Eastern Canada Ram Championships in Ancaster. Like, this is more than just, it's not an event to make noise. It is an event that has, it brings enjoyment to spectators, but it also brings employment and careers to those who are part of the rodeo. Like, you know, people go on from this to go in the Calgary Stampede. Like, this is not a small thing. And I think it's fabulous that we actually have this available to us in our town. So thank you, Ross. And I'll see you at the rodeo.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, if
Yes.
I could just interject, just one thing I might just say, and I don't even know if it's on anyone's mind, but in my business, people that don't understand my business sometimes question it. For 29 years, we've had an open book policy with the Ontario SPCA. We do clinics with them. We work closely with their all of their inspectors. Their inspectors come to our events, and I'm very proud in 29 years, we've never had a citation of any sort, and we have a great working relationship with them. And I say that just for the council's sake of mine, because there are people that don't understand totally what we do, and they question it naively. And as a council member, if someone brought that up, basically our towns tell them we work with the Ross Miller Group. They've done it 29 years. They have an open book policy with the SPCA. Here's Ross Miller's number, or here's the head of the SPCA's number that you should phone if you have any concerns about the animal welfare. And I sat on the Ontario Equine Animal Welfare Council for 9 years. I also sat on the Equine Animal Council for Equine Canada for 3 years. So I take that extremely seriously, and we love our animals. And the animal, if I could, I always say if I could come back in my next life as my wife's barrel horse, I'd have a pretty good life.
Thank you. That's very important to know. I think that's very important for our residents to know as well. I see we have somebody online, but I can't quite make out who it is.
That's
Hi,
Ellen.
sorry, I'm Ellen. I work with Ross Miller. Sorry.
The other
okay.
Ellen.
The other Ellen. Okay, thank you
The
very
other
much.
Ellen, yes, right.
Yeah.
So I do work closely with Ross. My apologies for stepping in so late. I just got in from Europe, but you know, I don't know if you guys had mentioned it. We do really engage the community spirit, and it is embraced by the community. You know, the Orangeville Headwaters Ram Rodeo is one of the oldest with the Ram Rodeo Tour. And it is to breed community spirit and community engagement.
You missed, Ellen?
Sorry.
You missed my fabulous speech at the start, but I went through that.
Okay, good. So Ross covered all that. But just to reiterate that it is a, you know, it is such a fabulous event to build community engagement, and we are, good, abiding animal lovers.
If anybody has the name Ellen and would like a job, we're looking for a third one.
Yeah, thanks. Can I say something as a horse owner? And
Yes.
also as, I'm the CEO of a registered charity called Tough Therapeutic Riding Foundation. And we serve kids in Dufferin and in Simcoe. And Ram Rodeo has partnered with us for the last 10 or 12 years and supported us in everything that we do. But what stands out to me about what Ross and the rodeo do, and I know I'm here on behalf of it, but he always explains to the crowd what is happening in the rodeo, what makes a horse buck, what makes a bull buck. And so people are really engaged in that in a different way, and they're not just thinking, oh, that's just mean. They're just being mean. And Ross shows them what the bucking strap looks like, how it tickles the horse or tickles the bull, and really explains it. And I think that the education part of that is really important. And just how Ross, in terms of how he supports our foundation, supports the community at large and specifically. So I just would like to add that as well. This is a real win-win for Mono to have the rodeo there.
Thank you.
And sorry, I did ask, because Ellen and I are both out of the area right now, we did ask Ellen to represent us because I found it important that someone was there to answer your questions, but we seem to be getting through that. And the last thing I'll leave in closing, seeing I'm talking to the council, I hope you can find some peace in the fact that we've had 3 rodeos that are entitled the Mayor's Rodeo. We do Grey Highlands, Wasaga Beach, and Allison. And the mayors have embraced it. Each one of them is the major fundraising activity for their town. I know Allison raised about $150,000 over the years. Flesherton, we put in just over $100,000 towards the Markdale Hospital, all through the Mayor's Rodeo. And Wasaga Beach started last year, and I think Ellen knows the number, but it was, I think, a considerable amount that was donated to the causes.
So it was the premiere of the Wasaga Beach Mayor's Ram Rodeo. Previously had done a golf tournament. Last year they raised $55,000 that went to the Collingwood area hospital as well as hospice. So it is a very charitable, beneficial for the community's events for sure. And
So
we'd like to invite you all to come out and join us in the back of our Ram Rodeo. At the top, like Elaine did, thanks Elaine, at the top of our show, and we will introduce and welcome you to our event, our Ram Rodeo.
Thank you. I suspect we'll all be there.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
It's about the community.
Can I just ask one
Yeah,
more
go
thing?
ahead.
So I have been to Calgary Stampede, my kid lives there, and it's an awesome event. And what struck me wasn't necessarily that cruelty to the animals was a worry for me. It was more the young people who were on the horses being bucked off, like that, and just to see them crunch and so on when they fall the funny way. But that's part of that's part of it, right?
That's rodeo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the, I guess, the athletes, the same as football or hockey or
Absolutely.
anything that.
So if there are no further questions, if there's nobody else online, I do have a motion that we approve the issuance of a noise exemption permit pursuant to bylaw 2026-8, noise bylaw to the Rodeo Management Group Ram Rodeo Tour to hold the 2026 Ram Rodeo on June 6th and 7th, 2026 at the Orangeville Agricultural Society Fairgrounds, and that the permit shall be conditional to all terms detailed in the permit, including but not limited to use of amplified sound as detailed in the permit, and the permit will describe the hours and as you've set forth in your submission, And number 2, provide the town with a phone number for an on-site event organizer who will be responsible to make any adjustments to sound levels as directed by Mono's bylaw enforcement officer. And I believe you've also asked for a waiver from the $500 fee, and I'm prepared to move that as an amendment to the staff motion.
I think we decided last time that we were going to make the application for people who have already, and that we didn't want to put that in our motions. So that's why it's not in, and then we talk about the 500, or for that matter, we have a standing one.
I don't remember that being part of a motion, but if that's the position of staff, that they're not attempting to collect the $500, I'm cool with that.
It was what Fred was
The clerk
talking
was
about.
satisfied last meeting that his evaluation of the event applications would be, council had provided enough direction that he felt comfortable with removal of the fees if warranted.
So it won't be in this motion, but it is a fact that we have waived for organizations. Especially as you point out correctly, your planning was well in advance of the passage of our noise bylaw. So, do I have a mover?
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Magdalow moves, seconded by Councillor Davy. Any further discussion? All those in favor of granting the exemption? And that passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you at the rodeo.
Yes.
Yes,
And
see you there.
thank you for your patience. We needed to wait until 10 in case there was anyone else who wanted to join the meeting, either virtually or in person.
And if I could just finish as a resident saying, first off, I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate that you've all, everybody's thought it through. And I think as a resident, I understand the sound discussions, and I think common sense has to prevail in all of it. And as a quick example, I'm in a place in Alberta where yesterday afternoon, 2 doors down, which is 10 acres away, the family had their kids over, and they and the kids all brought their motorbikes, and they went around for about 2 hours in the afternoon, which kind of frustrated me with my horses and everything. But then I had to think for a minute and go, you know what? I'm glad the kids are coming home for a couple hours, and I think I can put up with the noise for a couple hours. And they absolutely love the community and coming here. And I thought about that story and just thought, you have to think each instance through and apply a little common sense. But I'll leave it on that note.
Thank you. And thank you for your flexibility and accommodations with regard to start time and end time, and we do appreciate that.
That's part of being a community member, and a good deal is when both teams do well.
Indeed.
So I feel we will.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you. That takes us to Schedule A. And let's see who, I've received emails from both Ralph and Fred with regard to items on Schedule A that they'd like to address. Maybe Ralph, if you'd like to go first?
Shall we take them just one at a time?
Yeah.
So the first one, Your Honor, is number 3. That's the email from Burnside or from Carly Dixon about the sewage treatment plant. And Your Honor, this is an important letter because it's been a problem. It's been a significant problem with this community and a significant problem for council. So there's how I'd like to approach this is, first of all, I don't think the letter is written to Matt as the Director of Public Works, but I think it was expected that it would become a public letter. And the letter has a number of shall we say, legalese or maybe engineering type terms, which I don't think is very clear to people. So I'd like to try and get Matt to clarify these. I've spoken to Matt earlier this morning, and I think he's prepared to do that. So if I can go ahead. Matt, if you look at the letter, the 3rd paragraph, it talks about an optimization plan report. What does that mean?
Thanks, Councillor McDelow. So Burnside and the town tasked Brookfield and their engineer to come back with a plan to, I'm not sure that's, tasked Brookfield to come back to the town and present a plan that would allow this plant and this facility to run properly to meet the conditions of the C of A, certificate of approval that was issued by the ministry. So that's what the plan was received. We received the original one. We provided comments and then they came back as indicated in Carly's letter. And it provided alternatives that we reviewed as between the town, Brookfield and their consultant and town engineer. And we narrowed it down to some things that we would be acceptable to reviewing and having them go back to the table and elaborate more on those options.
So is that an explanation for resetting the design parameters and meeting treatment objectives?
Correct.
Okay. The dates and the progress of this activity are of some concern to me. It was November 24 that you first received the optimization plan, and then it's March the 11th of the following year. In other words, 15 months have gone by, and we have a revised plan report. Is there a reason why it's taking that long? This is I'd say this is a priority item, which has been, just a little background, it's been on our concerns for the last, 5 to 10 years now, and it's been a very frustrating thing for the residents there and a frustrating thing for council. So is there a reason why it takes 15 months to move ahead with this one?
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. Like we've been meeting with the town engineer, we've been meeting with the consultant, Brookfield, regularly. We've been corresponding with them by email and phone. The ministry's been out to the site to address the resident concerns as far as odor goes. The developer, Brookfield, and their consultant are working on, those are the two, there's two main things that they've identified at the plant that they want them to implement ASAP to reduce odors. It's not going to reduce all odors. The plant working in its optimal condition is not going to always eliminate complete odors in the area. But the ministry was there. They acknowledged some areas that they could improve, and so they're working towards doing that in the coming week or so, if they haven't already. So we have been working with them. It's super complex. Like it's very complex. The design, they're looking for us for items that we would be amenable to taking on and accepting once they do put them in place. It's not cheap. It's very expensive. So they want some clear understanding from the town and direction from the town that we'd be willing to accept it once it's done, and then they have to go back to the drawing board. So we've narrowed it down to the alternatives. We've since met, Mike and I have met with them, and we're really pushing this. This is an aggressive schedule, really, and we're hoping that we could meet these timelines, but like the note says at the bottom of the table, it will vary depending on what the ministry is willing to accept. So there's lots of moving parts to it, and we've been pushing and pushing and pushing. I understand the frustration from residents, council, staff feel it too. Brookfield feels it too. It's not too often that you have a plant that doesn't get assumed this far down the road, but they're at the table. They're working with us. They're working with their consultant. They're taking guidance from the town engineer. So it's really all we could ask for at this point.
Is the original supplier of this unit involved with these discussions?
No.
They're gone.
They're gone.
Is it not appropriate that they should be involved?
I believe that they were involved directly with Brookfield, and there was that was standalone. The town can't get into those negotiations and loop them back in. That was something between Brookfield and the supplier originally that provided the design, and Brookfield's trying to correct the fallout from that.
We're told that there's a 30% design brief. What does that mean?
30% detailed design submission.
Oh,
Is that what-
well,
which-
it's, yeah, yes, yeah.
Yeah, so with every engineering design, they usually do them in 30, 60, 90%, and then final design. So we're making sure that they're on the right track. So they're going to go back to the consultant's going to go back. They're going to take the guidance that the town of Mono and Burnside provided to them, and they're going to try to implement that and put it into the design so we could then receive it and and review it and provide comments for the next 60% phase, and then so on
Okay.
and so forth. So.
All right. The eventual, we go to the bottom line, it's that the plant will be upgraded in 2028 or 2029. That's, could be 3 years from now. We have a single plant, we are a single unit operating now. I think it's built with 2 units, and 1 unit's out of, and so we're dependent upon this 1 unit. So it's, we could end up with this unit going down too, because it's the same unit, I think, and has the same fallibilities, if you'd like.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that 3 years is a long time before we get something going here. You can do a lot of things in 3 years, I think.
Yeah, and we relayed that to them. We told them, you know, you better get on getting this other one back up and running. So they're sourcing that. They're part of that process is figuring out what's the ideal amount of media that they put into the RBC, which are the fins that go around that could process how much influence coming in. But part of the problem is a lot of the stuff that can't be flushed is getting into the system still, and it creates a higher loading of the system, and it creates a lot of cleanouts. And we've been relaying that information to the residents since day one. Don't make the system any worse than it, you know, don't make it further challenges that don't need to be, you know.
Is that an ongoing problem, that we're getting the wrong kind of things in there?
Yep. Yeah, every facility, you ask any operating authority that deals with wastewater treatment plant, it's one of the biggest problems and the most costly problems of dealing with the plants. So they're closely watching that. They know it's the only system that's in place. The ministry is well aware that it's the only system in place. They're removing the sludge and taking things out, you know, and that's part of the process too. Like this original plant design included for regular pump outs for sludge. It wasn't that the trucks would never be there. There was always the intention that those trucks would be coming to the plant and pumping out as required. That's the way it's not a process like with digesters or lagoons or any of those different types of processes where they'd never truck stuff off site, or they do it very limited.
The extent of trucking, it depends upon those items that should not have been put in primarily.
Increases the number of.
It increases the amount of how many trucks go in there based on the influent coming into the plant and the type of it and the potency and whatnot. So it's all part of the process of assessing what type of sewage is coming in and trying to manage it as it works through the system to get it to the numbers that are in the C of A.
Okay.
The effluent criteria that's set in the C of A.
So I have two suggestions, Your Honor. One is that future communications to council should be written in a language that's non-engineering and can be understood by the people.
Well, I was just going to jump in, and I agree with you.
Okay.
I was going to suggest that I was going through it and frankly, getting bogged down until I got to the section titled Recent MECP Site Visit. This is really, really good news. Number one, that there was a site visit by the ministry, because frankly, many of these issues are between the ministry and Brookfield. They're not between the ministry and Mono. And the fact that the ministry has requested Brookfield by April 25th to submit a community communications plan, I think is huge. So the heat is on Brookfield to come up with a communications plan. I think we have been really good at communicating as best we can, not being the party of the first part. You know, we've done our mailings, we've done our website, we've done our newsletter, all of which have spoken to the problems there, including the odor and also the necessity of not contaminating the plant with objects that necessitate more frequency of clean out. But then the next item, I think it's huge news for anyone who's watching, listening, and that is to submit an odor and mitigation work plan that identifies all known odor sources at the facility, including equalization tank number 2 and RBC unit number 2, and identify the proposed measures and timelines for implementation. I think that is massive because the complaints we're getting aren't about the mechanics of the plant. They're about the odor. They're about the number of trucks that are having to go in there. And the fact that the ministry is now saying to Brookfield, you got to come up with a plan, quite apart from everything above, which is a long-term, exercise. You got to come up with a plan, and you have to do it by April 25th. Massive news.
Well, I agree with you completely. I think that it's important that the residents know that we're trying to do the best we can, but really Brookfield is in the driver's seat.
Well, and the ministry seems to be taking, they're taking this seriously, it appears. Melinda and then Michael.
Just
sorry.
may I complete?
Yeah, go ahead.
So my message was to try and get the communications in a wording that the resident can understand. And the second thing is that 2029 is too late. We really need to move up on this if we can possibly.
Thanks very much. Thanks for bringing this up. Well, certainly when I read it, I thought that this was exactly what we had been asking for, a update on what's been happening and a plan on going forward. I think that it's been mentioned to us multiple times that this is a complicated problem. So I wasn't particularly surprised by 2028 because it's already halfway through 2026, right? Like time just goes by. The 2029 number does kind of jump out at you, but it's also got the slash. That might mean that it's in the winter of 2028, right? Like, it's hard to know. So, but at least there's a plan. I certainly read this feeling positive about things going forward. It's interesting that it has always been a system that would require, just like all of our individual in the rural settings, individual septic systems, it's built in that eventually time goes by and you do need to clean it. You have to clean your everything. And so I suppose even in a big place that's going into a Great Lake, probably the equipment eventually needs to also be cleaned, even if it doesn't have to be emptied on a regular basis like this one does. So I think that this certainly explains, I didn't find any difficulty. I wouldn't want an engineering document not to be engineering, but you have set up a communication stream, just as you mentioned, the website and the letter that you sent out. I think it was in February, I can't remember exactly, but it wasn't, or January, it wasn't too long ago. My assumption would be that you would be continuing to update your information to the residents and keeping them abreast, right? That's what's coming next, in which case then it does get boiled down to language. That is, see the document in the agenda, the public document now, but here's the plan going forward, right? Is that what you were planning on doing?
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Davey. Yeah, it's exactly what we're trying to do at key points in time when we have more information that we don't or hasn't already been kind of relayed to the residents, is keeping them updated. And this schedule, once we receive 30%, will probably be an ideal time to provide that next update to council. And if the town engineer has to come to council, or if Brookfield themselves have to come to provide more input, but we're trying to manage this from the town's perspective. That's, and relay that information from the town. The ministry has asked that Brookfield kind of take on the communications, but we want to be part of that, so we're aware, right? So we're trying to give key information to what's appropriate and the timing around that. So, yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good letter. I mean, it's sort of the lead is buried a little bit to the extent that the last part of it is the best part in my view. that Brookfield is being told by the ministry to do two things.
Just a little edit, though, on that, though, that there hasn't actually, I know things have been taking a long time, but there hasn't been any time when people's sewage has backed up and it's not actually working. It smells a little bit, but it's being managed by Brookfield all these years, right? Is that right?
That's correct. It's right. The ministry receives annual reports. That they're fully aware that the Brookfield is obligated to send, as per the C of A, and annual reporting, groundwater reporting, all that stuff goes to the ministry every year. The town receives it, we file it, and it goes in. So the beginning of the letter kind of maybe somewhat vague, but that information's been passed on to the council and the public through the website and through council meetings and whatnot already. So to get into going too far into the weeds, so in the technical side of things, it's super technical. Like, these are people that are educated to just do wastewater treatment systems, and they know the process is much better, so.
Well, and I guess that's why there are so many people around the world that seem to put things they shouldn't into the septic system. Like, it boggles my mind what you say that goes in. And when you travel to other countries, it's quite common not even to put toilet paper down the system. So, so the more we educate the people on the expectation of the system, right? That this is a problem. I mean, with our dogs, we have to pick up, like it's just a life issue that we need to deal with the waste, right? Thank you.
I really hope it comes up on Saturday. Mike?
Your worship, if I may. So, Matt, good explanation on that. So, to Councillor Mengtalo, with respect to the engineering letter, I think what just occurred right now is an excellent process. The engineers will put together engineering responses to us. We can talk to them about making it a little more understandable, but I think you're getting a conversation here between Matt and the engineers that I think that council is doing a great job by bringing this up right now. These are things that we can point the residents to. One thing that, speaking to the anticipated timeline chart that's in the letter, if you take a bigger look at one of the paragraphs where it speaks about discussions with the RBC suppliers that are out there, we are looking at loading as being one of the biggest concerns. And you'll recall that Watermark is a single stream. So we're at the same risk. There's only one RBC at Watermark right now. But one of the biggest things that they're speaking to the RBC suppliers about is the loading. And that has been one of the biggest concerns are these fins too heavy that are rotating in there. But if you look deeper at that report, the 30% detailed design submission was August 2026, and Matt and I were very adamant that the minute that this comes out, the RBC repairs in late, you'll notice third from the bottom, late 2026, that infrastructure will be put back in generally the same shape that it was provided to the town originally. So we'll be back we'll be starting to replace that RBC1 and move that equalization chamber out, which would put it back to generally what occurred over the first couple years. The second bottom sentence is the big one. MECP review and approval. We have no control over this at all, and that's a 12-month review. That unfortunately the town can't drive the MECP, and we're subject to their approval. Now Matt and I will ask them if they can kindly look at it quicker, but this is your MECP, and that's one of the biggest things I think is causing it. So Matt will continue communications when appropriate, and once again, staff are here to speak to the residents should they wish to reach out to us. You'll recall the night that we received the petition from the Fieldstone community, I spoke about this is not a light switch we're trying to replace. This is something that council has to approve, and council needs to be comfortable, and council and staff's job is to make sure that the community receives a solution and something that council can put their head to rest nicely on.
Ralph?
Thanks, Mike. It's important, I think, to the residents to hear this, that they understand that this is a complex process, and particularly the second last line there, which is a 12-month allowance for this approval, and is huge, and that's a major slowdown. I have two questions about, a comment about the two things seem to be going on here. The third from the bottom suggests that we're going to be repairing, I think you said, replacing with the same equipment, same fins, et cetera, as originally.
No, they're looking at the loading, so looking at the type of media on the fins, the polypropylene, I believe. Anyway, the fins that they're looking to replace. Basically, what we're making sure is that we don't install something that the fins rip off, which is what happened 6 or 7 years ago.
Right.
So we're looking at lesser loading, but that won't solve the effluent quality, the nitrates and the phosphorus that are coming out. It won't solve that. So that's step one, is to get the RBCs up and running the way they were supposed to, and step two is to fix the effluent criteria that has never been met.
Is that a part of the final one plant upgrades?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the final design will incorporate the a solution for the removal of the nitrates and the phosphorus according to the environmental compliance certificate.
So I really appreciate what you've done, Matt, with respect to community engagement. It's a tough thing every time we try and get everybody involved with some issue. Somehow or other, the community has to embrace the understanding of what can go in and what can't go, and whatever can be done to emphasize that, to get them all on board, I think is extremely important. As Melinda said, some places in the world, they don't even put toilet paper down. And if I go on a sailboat, I don't put toilet paper down at all. It's pure human refuse. So maybe there's a place for some further way of involving the community, which makes everybody realize and feel committed to maintaining the right input.
Yeah, noted. We put it in it's in the newsletter, it's on the website. It's very limited what you can put down there. Like the flushable wipes continue to be a huge issue. You have to manually pull. It sends out call outs to the operators. They have to come to site if the pump's clogged, because you can't stop the sewage from coming into the plant, and then the pump seize up because they're full of non-flushable waste. They have to physically lift the lids of those tanks, which releases smell. The pumps have to be pulled out by hand. The pumps have to be declogged. And sometimes that seizes the pumps and the pumps are no longer working, so they have to put a new pump in, lower the new pump down. So that's just an example. We could show photos.
Do a video.
We could do videos. Like it's a huge problem. Like it's not a problem just there. We're fortunate that we don't have a lot of other industry. It's all residential, right? It's the non-flushable things. It's not chemical. There's not we're not seeing that, but it's the things that are just you don't put down. Yeah, they go in the garbage. When in doubt, throw it out.
Yep. Ralph, anything else on the schedule?
Yes, the regionalization of the conservation authority.
Excuse me, Councillor Mingtila, your microphone.
Thank you, Mike. The regionalization of the conservation authorities continues to be a problem. There's two items here on that. One is the number 4, the Credit Valley Conservation, and that's the impacts of CTC. I had to look up CTC. It's Credit Valley, Toronto region, and something to do with Lake Ontario. So that's an organization that is
Central Lake Ontario.
Central Lake Ontario, thank you. Maybe you'd like to talk about this, Fred, because there's another item there as well, which is number 12.
12.
Now, basically what the 12 is saying is, I think, and this is a simplification, is that we'd like the ministry to rethink this, and we don't think that we should go going ahead with it. And that's a rather bold thing to do, but I think it's the right thing to do. I'd be in favor of a resolution to support that. And NVCA has not taken that point of view, which is, I'm a bit disappointed. Their view is to live with what they have and try and make it as good as they can. Freddie, your thoughts?
Yeah, if I could jump in on the source water protection letter. Well, to give a bigger overview, Bill 97 now has passed second reading. And that's the bill that's going to, once it gets royal assent, is going to bring all of this into effect. There's been several meetings about both the source protection area and the consolidation of conservation authorities, and there's not a lot of answers. The suspicion is, well, the bill has gone through second reading, it's now gone to committee, and my understanding is there's going to be no public participation in that committee hearing. So the bill will come out of that sometime the next week or two and get royal assent. And it's at that point we understand, well, the word they used was a long series of directives. I assume by that they mean regulations. And some of the questions we have will start to be answered. But on the source water protection issue, there is a real problem. And it's quite clear in my mind that when they drafted this idea of consolidated conservation authorities, they didn't think it all out, because there's a conflict between what they're trying to do with the conservation authorities and with the Clean Water Act. Now, in the letter, they give two options. My preference, I think, and I think, John, if you remember, Chris Garrett's from Amaranth also said this was his preference, is that they should keep the current boundaries of the source protection authority. So
Yes.
we would have a source protection authority that would be part of the CTC, Ralph. That's the Credit Valley, Toronto Region, Central Lake Ontario area. But CVC itself, Credit Valley, would now belong to a regional conservation authority to the west of it. And that's the administrative problem that's going to occur. They're not quite sure how it works, how the governance is going to work. Right now, it's very simple. We work with the Toronto Region, Central Lake Ontario, and do all the technical work. But the authority, the one with the plan, is the Credit Valley Source Protection Authority, and the governance of that is the same as the governance of the Credit Valley Conservation Authority. We have no idea how it's going to work once conservation authorities are consolidated. On item number 12, if I can, Your Worship, if I can jump to that too, and I would like to ask that we pull that and pass a motion supporting it. In essence, Ralph, what Credit Valley's thought process is this. They view themselves as the most efficient conservation authority in the province. Maybe TRCA is up there too, but CVC right now is turning around applications for permits in something like 14 days, and the province-wide average is 90 days. So their argument to the province is, hey, look, we're doing a fabulous job. They're not saying there isn't some reason to consolidate some of the smaller conservation authorities. They would go for that. But if you take Credit Valley and now join it to 3 other conservation authorities, the danger is you're going to upset what Credit Valley is now doing with its process, which is very efficient. That's essentially their argument. So, Your Worship, when we get to item number 12, if I would like to move that we pull that draft motion and put it to a vote.
I think we're sort of on it now.
No.
So if you'd like to make a motion, I do have a comment before we vote on it, though.
Well, without rereading the whole motion, just insert the term town of Mono.
Yes.
I move that motion.
So are we okay with that, folks?
Yeah.
Do we have a seconder? Ralph is going to second. I just have a question stemming from your comments about the source water protection piece. Are you on our source water protection? Are you on that committee, or is it just Chris?
No, Chris is on the one to the west of us with the Grand River.
Okay.
He's actually on the technical committee. I'm not on any technical committee. I did once apply, but I didn't make it. I'm on the governance board
Okay.
of the Source Protection Authority.
And does it have a chair currently? I've heard
No,
that
it
So
doesn't.
it's,
some of these
It's the same.
entities do not have chairs, or the chairs they have don't attend.
no, our chair of the Source Protection Authority is the same as the chair of the Credit Valley Conservation, Michael
Okay,
Blatchy.
thank you. That clears it up. I think I'm thinking of another area.
But it does, John, this is what is totally unknown. Once the conservation authorities are consolidated, what happens to the Credit Valley Source Protection Authority? Like, who is its governance board? The other thing, if I just got a second to mention, because the province said, not only are we going to consolidate conservation authorities, we're going to have these watershed councils under them giving advice. Well, they had a
What's
meeting
that?
with the province, and there's absolutely no idea what are these watershed councils? Who sits on them? Who appoints people to them? Do they have staff? When they give advice to these regional conservation authorities, does that advice have to be taken? How can a watershed council give advice without getting staff reports? And does that mean conservation authority staff will be giving reports to the watershed council and then giving the same reports to the regional conservation authority board? John, we have no idea how this is going to work.
So
I think if I just finish with one tiny example.
help me to understand. So they're going to amalgamate all of these
Yes.
conservation authorities. They're going to
Yes.
implement an oversight body above it, and now they're going to
Yes.
have all these little councils out there.
Underneath it.
Okay,
you'll
so
have
this is
watershed
getting rid of
councils
red
giving
tape.
advice to regional conservation authorities who will now have a body over above them, a provincial body, by the way, funded by the
By us.
property tax, that overlooks conservation authorities. It's very, very confusing. Just to give one example of what the administrative problems. If Credit Valley, when this consolidation goes ahead, which probably will be February 2027, probably. If Credit Valley has to change the names on all of its parks, its buildings, its uniforms, and its vehicles, the rough estimate of cost is $1.5 million just to change the names, letterheads, vehicles, parts. Anyway, I just put that out there. I shake my head in amazement.
We do have a motion.
This is called efficiency.
From the red
I'm being
tape fighters.
sarcastic.
Do we have any other comments? Ralph?
So the motion that is on the Schedule A involves that council calls on the province of Ontario to leave the governance structure of Credit Valley Conservation unchanged.
Yes.
And Fred, that, you mentioned as a numerical of that their turnover time for permits was 14 days. And the 90 days is actually the requirement, I think. There are other conservation authorities, I think, that are as efficient as Credit Valley. I know that NVCA's turnover time for 95% of their permit applications is less than 20 days. I can't remember the exact number, but it's less than 20 days. So quite a few conservation authorities are also maybe smaller, but are also very efficient. So the question sort of comes up, shouldn't other conservation authorities who are functioning well be left as they presently are? Because this is a motion just to leave Credit Valley unchanged. And are we going to support that, or are we going to support a broader motion?
Well, we can always
My
put NVCA in there as well. Mike?
I would recommend that the NVCA board would submit a similar request to the municipalities based on their standing. This is specific to Credit Valley and Credit Valley, and adding NVCA. I'm sure TRCA has a place in Mono as well, and I'm not sure where they are as well. So maybe we pick these off as they come through.
Yeah, I think that's right, Mike. I agree with you. It should come from the board. The board there has been led by a chair who's decided not to oppose this.
That's the problem. Yeah.
So it's my understanding that this amalgamation is not going to serve Mono specifically because we happen to be in the middle of the boundaries of the bunch of new big guys, right? So we've gone from having 4, but who's the 4th one, I thought? 4 conservation authorities that, because we're here at the headwaters, and we're going to end up with 4 amalgamated ones. Just 3.
Right now,
We have the
Your
3,
Worship, right-
just the Toronto.
right
just-
now, we have 3 conservation authorities.
Okay.
But we actually have a tiny piece of
4
land
rivers, okay.
that drains into the Grand River.
Okay.
So for administrative reasons, Credit Valley is the conservation authority there. Once we get the regional conservation authorities in place, we will then have 4 regional conservation authorities to deal with. One of them, it's just a few lots way over the far western side of Mona. It's a very tiny area.
But nevertheless, ultimately, that little tiny area leads into a bigger and bigger, and if we think that headwaters is important and management of source protection and all that stuff, even if it's a really little bit, it's still very important, right? So I think the question with respect to us getting our 2 cents in, because it really is ultimately, I mean, I know I'm a bit jaded, but there's ultimately just really that, because we're not going to stop the wheels from turning here. But that we either decide, as you suggest, that this is a one-time thing for this one, and hope that the other conservation authorities follow suit, and yay, we would support it, or that we rewrite something completely and just say that Mono has these 3 specific conservation authorities plus a 4th small place, and we actually don't agree with changing that.
Do we not have a prior motion that generally opposes this whole thing?
Exactly.
We
so.
did, and
think we
we
did.
put a comment into the environmental registry.
Right.
Yeah.
Saying that we disagreed.
Yeah, so
I
then
just
why do we
would
need to do
point out,
anything?
Melinda, you say there is one big impact it'll have when this goes ahead, because now it'll be the county of Dufferin that appoints people to the regional conservation authorities and pays the levy. It'll knock off, I'm not saying I agree with this, it'll knock about $174,000 off of our tax bill. But don't get your hopes up, because now the county will then be paying the levy and not Mono.
Well, kind of exactly, like, is this really, is the government, I mean, like, we know the jaded look of why the government's doing this, but the government isn't doing this, hasn't said that they're, the upper tier, isn't saying that they're doing this to save money, are they? They're just saying so that they can have better control, so that they can, whatever everybody's saying they can do with it. But there's no expectation to any human that if we've decided we need to manage our water, that somehow the governance is going structure is going to make it a cheaper endeavor, is it?
They're not saying that. They are saying there will be efficiency gains. Nobody knows where they will come from. They are also saying, and this is why it's a bit confusing, there will be no loss of employment. Nobody believes that, but that's what they're saying. But they are saying that the consolidation will reduce it. It'll reduce administrative overlap, which seems to me says there'll be fewer people doing maybe the 4 conservation authorities that Credit Valley will belong to only needs 1 director of finance rather than the current 4. I don't know, Melinda, but I mean, the government's message is a bit confusing. They are saying there's efficiency gains. They're saying it'll reduce administrative overlap, but there'll be no loss of employment.
Okay,
Well,
thanks for the clarification.
Usually when they say those things, if pressed, they would say, well, we're going to save you money.
Well, yeah, which I haven't heard.
Which we haven't heard, because, I mean, they've already, the Pinocchio nose is already considerable, and it just gets bigger when they try and claim that this is going to save money.
Well, it's not going to save money. If I can just go on for 1 second, John. When you think of Credit Valley joining 4 conservation authorities, one of those conservation authorities, by the way, is unionized. So now you're taking 4 individual wage grids and you're combining them. what do you think the resulting wage for level number 5 is going to be? Do you think it's going to be the lowest on those 4 or the highest? I'll guarantee you, and listen, in fairness, maybe the employees deserve it, but I'll guarantee you the resulting combined wage grid will always tend towards the higher of the existing grids.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion.
Just to carry on for a minute, Melinda, there's the said reasons for doing this and the unsaid ones. And I think that part of the unsaid ones is that some of the conservation authorities are felt to not be up to scratch, and this is the way of bringing them up. So we equalize it all by putting all 35 or so on the same level rather than bringing up the 7 or so that need to be.
Yeah.
The other thing that is driving this is a Better Homes building program, and that the sense that they're having to go through the conservation authorities for permitting is slowing things down, and it's not. It's quite clear in our jurisdiction at CBC it's not, and I really wonder if the government is taking a broad brush and with the hope of helping building.
Absolutely.
And they're frustrated because there hasn't been any increase in home building during Rob Ford's tenure.
And there's got to be a reason for that, right?
Pardon?
There's got to be a reason for that, right?
Yeah, well, there is.
But neither is there the need for it, right? I mean, that's the other thing that's happened, right? That put a pause on stuff because things aren't selling, right? All those condos and stuff. Okay, thanks for the clarification.
So we've got a motion on the floor with the insertion of Mono's name.
That was-
And we have a mover and seconder on that, I believe.
Where did Elaine go?
And Elaine, you're there. Any opposition to that motion? Seeing none, it's carried.
I've got one more.
One more.
This is the last
On a
one. I
roll.
think it's number 14, and to sum it up, it's a request to the government that they push back the deadline for designation to 2030, I think, to give more time for the heritage committees to do their work. This would certainly, there already has been a pushback, but that's been accepted, I believe. But now they're asking to extend the deadline to January the 1st, 2030. This would certainly help us, as we do not have a heritage committee that's functional at the moment. So I'd propose a motion that we would support this resolution.
So a simple motion to support. Elaine, are you seconding?
Yes, thank you. And it will go into our next term of council, so that when a new committee is formed with the new council, that they'll have an extended deadline.
Thank you. Any debate, discussion on support of that motion? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Fred, I'm going to turn to you next because you submitted a list, and I think we've dealt with a few of the matters that you also wanted to talk to.
No, the only thing on my list was item number 12, and we've dealt with that.
Okay. Melinda, anything?
I always wait for you guys to tell me which ones you think are important. I've read them all, and none of them just jump out at me, no.
Okay. Elaine?
Thank you. I'm good with what has been brought forward. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have a motion that we accept Schedule A to this agenda. Do I have a mover? Elaine, and seconded by Melinda. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. So that brings us to reports, and let's start with Les. Do you have anything for us?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Your Worship. A couple items. First, the auditors were in the office last week, starting with their field audit. They spent about 3 days. Normally it's 4, but when they left a long list of things for us to get back to them. So that's in the process. Second item, I went to the Shelburne Fire Board meeting last week. That's in relationship to us billing for I guess, building fires. We started that process for Caledon. Council wanted for me to look into doing the rest of Mono. I had requested the board to authorize the fire chief to provide me with the fire calls. That was his request. And I'm a little confused. Councilor Davies was there. They basically accepted it, but not to go ahead with it because they wanted to see what the contract looked like with Fire Marquee, which doesn't make sense because we're doing it internally versus using them. So anyways, I'm not sure what the next fire board date is. I requested that from their secretary and kind of get a confirmation from her what the next steps are. So they kind of left us in limbo, kind of confusing.
How did they conflate our request with the private third party when we were going to do it internally? And can we not get our colleague municipalities to do a vote and make them do it?
Well, some of the board members were in favor of doing it. The chief is already providing fire call reports to Mulmer Township and the town of Shelburne. So the request being put on hold is confusing, for sure.
Belinda?
Okay, yeah, thank you for bringing this up, because I certainly was going to bring it up in my report. Yeah, as you know, there are some real difficulties in the functioning of the board at the moment. And because of that, a lot of the decisions at these monthly meetings, so the next one will be at the beginning of next month, that first Tuesday, I think it's a Tuesday. So there's been a lot of pushing things off and not really deciding things while the governance, the future of the governance is in limbo. But it was very interesting. We went around the table, and it was the mayor of Shelburne who said that he really wasn't comfortable with the disclosing of personal information publicly. And it's kind of like, but wait a second, we're already the municipal, we people who live in Mono who have their properties protected by the fire department. The information is just the roll call number, your name. It didn't sit well. It didn't sit with me, but that was the worry that there would somehow be some sort of liability brought back if personal information was disclosed.
But they're doing it themselves.
And so they're doing it with a third party, but the discussion was, well, the third party must have some sort of liability insurance or disclaimer or something. There must be something in that contract that that we felt comfortable with back enough, because it's a different board sitting around and weren't there specifically to answer, though, because Fred wasn't at our meeting, to be able to know exactly what was signed, even though the town of Shelburne's mayor was there and the town of Mulmer's mayor were there, and they were on the board at that time. Nobody was willing to remember what was in the Marquee agreement to indicate that they take responsibility should there be any leak of personal information. And anyway, I'm optimistic that common sense will prevail, and we will get it at our next meeting when people have looked at the contracts and find that this public information is already, or this information is already public. You've already had a fire. We're just trying to reclaim money, not call you out for having a fire or anything.
If anything, it's better protected the way we want to do it than engaging a third party.
I said that.
I don't think it would be FOI-able.
Exactly. So I think
if somebody really wanted to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, so that was it. I think, and I was called out in the meeting, which which, where they'd like to, Shelburne has put forward that we record our meetings, which, like today's meeting is being recorded for people to look out afterwards. Our fire board meetings, all the board meetings are open to public. Public can come in any time, but we don't have the infrastructure to, like we do in this building, to record things or have them live streamed and things like that. But that is what I was accused of, thinking that there was some conspiracy going on against Mono asking for something. And I was assured that that's not the case. So I think that next meeting at the beginning of the month, we'll get the, and the other point that you brought up, Les, was that this isn't a ginormous amount of money or a huge amount of administrative work, which is why you're willing to take it on, because we don't have, when you look at the, Brandon, this was in my report too, this awesome 25 annual report, and so this isn't in the agenda yet, but we'll put it in now that it's been submitted. But we have a wonderful new documentation from all of our fire departments, actually, about what's going on. And structure fires are not a big deal in Mono. We don't seem to have them. It's really the motor vehicle accidents, so people need to drive better. But it is a small thing, and yet we also know that it would be enough money here and there that would add up and help our taxpayers, because we all are paying insurance, and so it would be nice if insurance paid us back.
Exactly. Anything else, Les? I'm almost hesitant to ask you that.
That's everything for now, Your Worship.
Thank you. Matt?
Thank you. Just quickly, MTO released a pothole prevention and repair program grant last year, which Public Works applied for the full amount of the 38,000. It was successful, and we received the funds last week, I believe. So
Excellent.
that's good. So that goes towards route and sealing, granular infill and grading, drainage stabilization, hot mix asphalt, patching and repairs and whatnot.
So it does both gravel and paved roads?
Yeah,
Excellent.
that's good. Thank you.
That is excellent.
Cheyenne, anything?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, I have nothing to add at this time.
Okay. Michael?
Thank you. So with Fred's absence, I'll be your deputy clerk for the next 6 weeks. Hopefully he rebounds from his surgery quickly. Our election team has been trained and they're ready to receive nominations on May the 1st. There's a couple zoning bylaw files that will be coming to council in the near future, and just a shout out to Andrew for another great newsletter with informative information, and thanks to all those that prepared paragraphs for submission to same. Thank you.
Thank you. Elaine, anything?
No, unfortunately, I had to miss the DEI meeting this week, and we haven't had a fire board meeting for Rosemont Fire District Fire Board, so that's it.
Okay, thank you. Fred?
Yeah, just one thing, the same as I announced at the county. I'm sitting on a committee of the Headwaters Community in Action. The committee, I don't know if it has a name, but its purpose is to try to encourage more people to vote in the next election and for more candidates to run. So one thing they've done, when they sent a letter to all the mayors, so John's got this letter.
Yeah.
The clerks have organized 2 meetings, one on May 6th, one on May 7th, one in Orangeville, actually it's Menora Park, and one in Shelburne, for people who think they may want to run in the next election. They've got a couple of speakers. I don't know who they are, I forget, but I did talk to Fred Simpson about who these speakers are. They're well qualified, and they will talk about the process of running for council. And that's fine. The Headwaters Community in Action letter is asking the mayors to ask their councils this. When the speakers have finished speaking, and I assume there's going to be coffee or something and milling around at the back, if a few of the current politicians in Dufferin County could volunteer to sit at the back of the room and be there to kind of ask or answer the questions that the speakers can't, like how many hours a week do you work? Do you get paid? Do you have a secretary? Do you have an office? All these sort of, well, just what has been your experience type of questions. So John, you were sent the letter. I guess, obviously, since I'm on the committee, I'm going to volunteer. We don't need hordes of people to do it. But it would be kind of nice.
I wrote back,
Sorry.
volunteered to do it. I asked that the individual who sent me the letter give me a phone call because I wanted to ask a question to clarify the format. But I haven't heard back from them.
Okay, that's Christine Sinclair.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, so the rest of council, you've heard this. If any of you are interested, let me know and I'll make sure there's a spot for you.
Great. Thank you. Melinda, anything?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, so I went to the Fire Board meeting, as I mentioned, and normally we would have a RAC meeting coming up, but we're not going to do it. And so because we don't have much on the agenda, because we got rid of it was awesome, the people who showed up, but we didn't have very many people come for our Make Mono Shine cleanup event. So I just wanted to remind residents that, and my own, I got to get down that huge big culvert or ditch beside my place and pull out the recycling stuff that has blown around all season. But we do really need to clean up Mono, and I've noticed that there is an awful lot of garbage, and so I do encourage everybody. And now that we all have huge recycle bins down by the road, when you're cleaning out your road, it'll be dead simple to just toss it into your big bucket to have it go out. And so I encourage everybody to do that. And also, just to let everybody know with respect to the our swimming pool, which, you know, the weather is, there's some sunshine out there this second. Spring is coming, and so the pool at the Centre Dufferin Recreation Complex, to which we contribute to, is getting some new tiling and emergent kind of situation. But they're getting some new tiling and some Marblite, and the pool will hopefully be all ready come June. So if anybody's looking for summer things, now's the time to get when the passes for the racket sports that we've got as well, right? So look for all those things, and that's what's coming.
Ralph?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll try and be brief. There are 4 items. The Climate Change Action Committee had its first meeting. The main thing that we did was look at particular topics to work with and set up 5 of these with subcommittees that are working on them. So the process is that the subcommittee will work on the particular project and come to the main committee with a recommendation. And I know the subcommittees have been meeting and are active and are very keen. I'd have to say I'm very enthusiastic about the people that are on the committee, and I'm very, very hopeful that it'll be productive. The second is the Pollinator Garden will be having a 10-year celebration on the 21st of June. I'll give you the details later, but it'll be in the afternoon. It'll be a sort of drop-in. There'll be some, quote, booths there where you can get some instruction. There'll be walk-around tours. There'll be things to do. I think it's going to be hopefully a nice day. And I've been speaking to the weather forecasters and told them that it must be sunny. The Board of Health. Board of Health, two items on the last Board of Health meeting of interest were, one was on vaccines and the other was on ticks. Ticks are coming a little bit sooner. I've had one on me that I got on when the weather was about two below freezing on my chest, and I expect to have this is an ongoing problem. About 44% of the ticks that have been presented to the Board of Health are black-legged ticks, and we don't really know what the infection rate is. Black-legged ticks carry Lyme disease, and they carry a couple of other weird things such as anaplasmosis, etc. So none of them are good. So it's really becoming more and more important, I think, that you not only to tuck in your pant legs, but you also check your body. The tick, when it climbs up your leg, up to other parts, does so in a way that you don't feel it. You're not aware that's there. The bite is not something you feel like a mosquito bite. They do something or other with some local anesthetics or something like that. So you don't know the tick is there unless you actually rub your skin and you find it there. The second is about vaccinations. there's been a little bit of reluctance because of various things around the world to cut down the vaccination rates. Kids get vaccination in school as a publicly funded medical activity. If they don't get vaccinated, the Board of Health goes after them. The only reason for being exempted is if you have an exemption based on being a conscientious objector. I was amazed at the number of students which had not been vaccinated on schedule within Wellington, Dufferin, Guelph, and after contact, there was 44 were left still unvaccinated. This is becoming increasingly important. We're understanding that some of these viruses, such as the human papillomavirus, are actually the commonest cause of cancer. Particularly, we knew that about cervical cancer, but it's also becoming likely that it's the commonest cause of oral cancer as well. So it's very important to get the vaccination. The third thing is the DEI committee. We had a very good meeting at the last meeting. We had a member of the community come and speak about racial issues, and I think we all found it very educational and opened our eyes a bit to what was what it was like to be a racial minority person of a racial minority living in Mona. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't have anything in particular to report. I probably do, but not remembering it right now. If it occurs to me, I'll send you a quick note. Notices of motion. Any notices? Oh,
Your Worship, I think I know exactly what you wanted to
thank you.
wanted to talk about. Oh goodness, give me a second. No, sure. April 18th, 9:30 a.m. Town Hall meeting located at the hall here.
Okay.
Safe and sustainable water for Mona's future will be the topic with a special guest speaker, Andrew McCammon. But this is the residents' chance to come out, ask mayor and councillors questions, bring up items that may be of concern to them, or just generally let council know they're doing a great job. So it would be,
thank you, and I'd like to elaborate further on that to the extent that there has been some confusion as to the format, and I weighed in on this yesterday to indicate that what we had agreed to as a council was half an hour for the guest speaker and roughly 15-minute presentation, 15-minute Q&A. At one point it was suggested that he might take an hour, and I think the reaction to that was negative. And we've let MC Squared know that it is half an hour. MC Squared also had the idea that we as councillors would like to spend 5 minutes apiece giving some form of presentation speech. I don't know where they got this idea, but I said for my part, and I think I speak for council, we will have more than enough opportunity to weave into our answers anything that we would otherwise say if we were given a speaking opportunity. So let's get to the point of the meeting, and that is Q&A from the public. I hope we're cool with that.
Yeah, this isn't an all candidates meeting.
No.
It's a town hall opportunity.
Yeah. So I haven't had a reaction to that, but I tried to be fairly firm to remind them of what the original arrangement was. And, I took the liberty of suggesting that we did not need to make speeches to the assembled residents.
I think there may have been some misunderstanding about the position what we wanted for MC Squared. Historically, council have run the town halls, and they've often had a visiting speaker come, and MC Squared are providing that visiting speaker, and that's pretty well the structure of it.
Correct.
Your worship, if I may. I think I spoke at one of the town hall meetings, probably 2013, 2014, with respect to water in Mono, and it'll grow its own little discussion. So I think it's something that if the speaker doesn't get to a Mono specific discussion, I know Deputy Mayor Nix will take them there. So that'll be great. One thing for sure is it's council's meeting on Saturday, and council should run it the way they see fit.
And the format is actually helpful to the extent that they are proposing a coffee break, a short coffee break after the speaker's presentation, so that if the discussion carries on, it can carry on with the into the coffee break time, as opposed to cutting into the time for the public.
So that's great, but I think it's up to council, and if you could include Cheyenne and I on all the correspondence that's going on right now. I have not been in discussions with MC Squared at all, and I'm not sure. I will reach out to Barbara with respect to this, and we'll make sure that it's in line with what council expects on Saturday.
I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Notices of motion, no notices of motion. In-camera items, none today. Oh, sorry, Elaine?
Thank you, Your Worship. And so I just want to ask the question about, will there be any staff attending on,
Saturday.
my dog's sorry. Will there be staff attending on April 18th?
Volunteers? Yeah, Mike and Cheyenne are indicating that they'll be there.
And I believe, Andrew, if you're I haven't got into the details, but I assume you're doing a hybrid?
I believe so. There's Andrew. And he's
And
There
thumbs
he is.
Thumbs
Yeah,
up.
Great.
Okay, thanks.
A cameo. Thank you. So no in-camera items. I have a motion that we introduce and give the necessary readings to a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council of the town of Mono in session 7-2026, held on the 14th of April 2026, that it be signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed and engrossed in the bylaw book. Do I have a mover for that? Deputy Mayor, followed by Elaine Cape seconding. Any opposition? Seeing none, that motion carries. And then I have a motion that we adjourn this meeting at 11:30 a.m. And we have many movers and seconders to choose from. I'm going to suggest that Councillor Davey caught my eye first, followed by Councillor Capes. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.